It lives. It lives. Yeah, it powered on. I'm not one huge into RGB, but it looks pretty cool. Right? So I think it was worth the time and effort to put all this in here. We'll have to see what the owner wants. Controlling the fans is going to be easy enough. Like the fans and the strip up here. All that easy enough. Remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then that one is technically daisy chained onto the 8th one. I did use one of the daisy chains because of this strip here. The issue is that so we would need either at least through the mother, hopefully we only have to set through the motherboard BIOS if you want something other than RGB. Because otherwise we need specific software for the Zotac. It turns out that the RGB header on it is just to control other strips. And then for the G-Skill RAM, I have yet to see a motherboard that lets you control RAM RGB through the BIOS. You usually need to use the motherboard utility, and if you're going to do that, you might as well control the motherboard using that utility as well. But then I've seen that even trigger anti-cheats. So I kind of set and forget, but then every time it'll forget this. So you have to let it boot up, let the RGB software boot up, then turn off the RGB software. It'll remember the RAM, but when it reboots again, it'll load that. So if you forget to turn off the RGB software, yeah. I know Microsoft is working on a universal RGB thing for Windows. For people that do want this, I say can't come soon enough. I'm glad I didn't go with grills on the back here, because that would have impeded the RGB. But having most of this synced up the way it is does look really nice. Even on Frozen Slate system that we did, where everything it's all Fantex perfectly controlled. We used a hardware controller. We could never do the RAM. So that's where, if you guys are doing an RGB system, in this case, we just went full RGB everything. Look, even the back plate's RGB. I didn't even know that. So you maybe skip the RAM, so you don't have to worry about controlling it. Then you could use a dedicated external controller. I don't know. That GPU is like a centerpiece for sure. So I think it's even fine that it's a little off cycle, But we'll see. If we have to install the RGB software, we can and we will. Ideally, we don't, though. In my opinion, at least. And here's a Gertrude. Hey, Gertrude. And she's like, it's sleepy time, Elliot. Nope, it's not. I gotta get Windows installed and configured on here and everything. Blop, blop. Hit that subscribe button. Hopefully, we'll see you in future updates of Einhander once we get these side panels on. Until I know this thing, the BIOS is fully up to date and configured, that's not happening. Oh, God. It actually does look pretty cool. Check out the previous videos on why it's such a pain in the ass. Every one of these fans is controlled with a wire going to a hub. Every one of the RGB ones is controlled with a wire going to the hub. It does look cool, though. And I think I was worried about these Be Quiet fans being in here not matching the fractals, but because you always see the front of the Be Quiets, that's it seems to be a non-issue, and most often you'll see the back of the fractal fans, so it kind of works out actually.